Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time again to look at our college football predictions we have coming up for all of our Week 0 and Week 1 matchups. But more specifically, what we're going to be focusing at today is our non-top 25 games. We're going to break them all down. First things first, though, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments, definitely drop them below. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? What are your thoughts on these games? What are your predictions for the outcome? Leave a comment in the comment section. I will respond to every single one of them. We're going to break down all of these non-top 25 matchups, look at the rosters, the offense, the defense, try to predict the outcome for every single one of them. Who's going to win, who's going to lose, and what the final scores might be. And we'll definitely also touch on the best bets, the money lines, the spreads, the over-unders. If you're a football fan, guys, we go over every game, every single day, this entire college football season. And we also do the same thing once the NFL season starts. College football is back. We are just a couple days away. We cannot wait. We have been waiting a very long time, guys. It is almost here. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let's not waste any more time, though. Let's start looking at these games. On Saturday, August 23rd at 8 p.m., we're going to have Idaho State on the road versus UNLV. The big thing about this game is the return of Dan Mullen to the college football ranks. We all know Dan Mullen. He's been around the SEC, been around college football, very decorated offensive mind, one of the better modern-day offensive minds. They're going to have the up-tempo offense. This is a team that actually was not bad. UNLV fielded a pretty good team last season with Dan Mullen, guys. I'm sorry. I do love Dan Mullen. I think he's going to work wonders here. He's going to have this offense high flying. They're going to score some points. Not a bad defense last season. The offense wasn't bad last season either. They're going to be even better this season in the Mountain West. Right now, UNLV heavy favorites. 93.6% chance to win. Idaho State, a 6.4% chance. So basically, nobody is giving them a shot to win this game. Good game for UNLV to get some reps in here. Get set in your new scheme with your new pieces. You have UNLV. 25.5-point favorites. They are minus 4,000. Who came up with these numbers? That is a crazy amount. And the over-under is going to be 62.5. And Idaho State is plus 1,400. Outrageous numbers there. If you think the upset's going to happen, you are going to make some money, but I don't honestly think it's going to happen. Right now, for Idaho State, not a bad offense last season, 32.1 points a game. They lived by throwing the ball, 298.4 passing yards per game. They were giving up 37.8, so even though they scored points, their defense was atrocious. This is a step up in competition, so that does bode well for UNLV, who averaged last season 35.4 points a game, throwing for 172.6, running for 243.5, giving up 21.3. Like I said, this was not a bad team last season. They were able to control the ground game. They're going to force Idaho State in the third and long situations. UNLV bringing in a lot of transfers. He's had to retool this roster. You have Alex Ordry coming over, transfer portal quarterback. You have Gums at tight end, Thomas, Glover, weapons at running back. You know Dan Mullen loves the physical ground and pound, and it's going to be up-tempo. They are going to be moving the ball quick. They have Earl, Omari, Bradley. The weapons are there. The ground is set. The foundation is set for UNLV to start out the season with a solid win. I have them rolling to the win here, winning this one 41-20. And our next game that we're going to be looking at 6:30 p.m. on Fox, you have Fresno State coming to play Kansas in Memorial Stadium, supposedly fully remodeled, a whole new look here. They've been pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into this team. Kansas, they're not just good at basketball. They actually have a very strong foundation set here for the football team because they have a very underappreciated head coach. You have to respect Lance Leopold, the amount of talent and product that he gets out of the players on his team. Great coach here, very underappreciated coach. Right now, Kansas coming in here, heavy favorites here, 79.6% chance to win. Fresno, a 20.4% chance to win. The Kansas Jayhawks, 12.5-point favorites, a 50.5 over-under. Kansas, minus 493. Fresno State, plus 370. Fresno State, though, you don't want to underestimate this team. They're not a bad team. Kansas, though, they started out last season atrocious on the field, mainly due to the production from Jalen Daniels. He was turned the ball over way too much first half. They started out the season. They were a top 25 team to start the year. Completely fell apart. Vegas had them predicted at 9.5 wins last season. They just have to not start off well. They finished last season hot. They were actually playing up to their potential. One of the most experienced quarterbacks, not just in the Big 12, but in the entire nation. Jalen Daniels can do a little bit of everything. Throw, mobile quarterback. He's always keeping his eyes down the field, though, even when he takes off. Wide receivers are back. Wentz, Henderson, Pickett. They lost Neal. Massive loss at the running back position, a top 3 overall running back in the entire country. Hishaw's there, Williams. There's weapons. They have a great coach. The defense should be better. They just have to get off to a strong foot to start the year. Last season, Fresno State, 26.1 points a game, giving up 24.8. Kansas all over the place, but finishing this season strong. They just have to recapture that momentum out the gate this year. They're averaging 29.7. Giving up 26. They threw for 208.8. They ran for 211.4 last season. Very balanced team. When you can run the ball, and they want to run the ball, they want to run it at you. When you can successfully run the ball, that opens up the play action. Jalen Daniels excels at the play action game. Give me Kansas winning this one, but Fresno State gets some garbage time points. Kansas wins 33-20. 7:30 p.m. on CBS, we have the Stanford Cardinals traveling across the Pacific Ocean to play the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. Right now, Hawaii, Chang and company, they need to have a strong season. He has a lot of pressure on him coming out of the Mountain West. They want a bowl-eligible season. They want this offense to lead the way. They want their defense to play a lot better. Stanford, you just have to do better than you were last season. Not the best opening to the ACC conference last year. A lot of pressure, lost your quarterback, lost a lot of pieces to the transfer portal. Rick, you need to take some massive steps going forward. Stanford, a 45.6% chance to win. Hawaii, a 54.4% chance. Hawaii coming in here 2.5-point favorites. The over-under is 52.5. Hawaii's minus 131. Stanford plus 110. This is one of those games when I honestly look at it, it is practically a 50-50 matchup. Prepare for anything to happen. The Cardinals last season, one of the worst offenses in the entire country. 22.8 points a game, only running for 132, throwing for 191, giving up 33.7 points a game. That was an awful defense, awful offense. You have to at least be good at one thing in order to somewhat succeed. Hawaii, 22.3 points a game. This is a team that used to be known for scoring 35 to 40 points a game. Those days are over, and they were giving up 26. Both of these teams have massive improvements that they need to make on both sides of the ball. Looking at the Cardinals, you are going to have Micah Ford as the running back. You are going to have Greibelson as the quarterback. The wide receiver room, C.J. Williams, Farrell, High. There's some weapons there potentially, but we need to see the steps forward on the offensive side. Looking at Hawaii, they're going to have Alejado as the quarterback, the running back room, the wide receiver room. We know they love to run that up-tempo air raid. It just has not resulted in any type of points. They have to get better at it. They have to get more efficient at it. Right now, Stanford Cardinals, before you get into ACC play, you need to win as many of these out-of-conference games as possible to have a shot to get to a bowl game. Your schedule's not going to be easy for the amount of talent you have on your roster. I'm going to go with Stanford pulling off the upset here. Give me the Cardinals to walk away with the win, 30-27, higher scoring game. On CBS at 7 p.m., Sam Houston on the road versus the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Looking at Sam Houston, this is a team, again, struggle to move the ball on the offense side, only 23.8 points a game, but they only gave up 20.5. Even though the offense was completely lackluster, the defense was able to carry this game. Just think if their offense gets just a little better, it's going to buy that defense some time to breathe. Right now, Sam Houston, a 23.6% chance to win this game. Western Kentucky, a 66.4% chance to win. Heavy favorites. The Hilltoppers, 10.5-point favorites. They are minus 394. The over-under 61.5. Vegas sees some points being scored, and Sam Houston is plus 306. Obviously, massive underdogs. For the Hilltoppers, they are coming into this game. They've had some pretty decent offenses the last couple seasons, but it definitely took a step back last year, only 24.9 points a game, giving up 24.6. These teams are actually, when you look statistically, pretty evenly matched. Western Kentucky, pass-heavy team, 264.6 points a game. Last season for Sam Houston, they want to keep the ball on the ground. 179.8 rushing yards per game. When you can run the ball successfully, yes, that opens up the play action, but it sucks up the game clock, keeps the other team's offense off of the field. Western Kentucky, against that defense from Sam Houston, might be put in some third and long situations. They're going to have to make sure they are efficient in their passing game. The up-tempo, pass-heavy offenses, you have to be efficient. Feed the ball to your playmakers in space. Let them fight for first downs, but you always got to run the ball on those third and short situations. You have to successfully run, but you are going to live off of the pass game, opening up the run game for this style of offense, and it's the complete opposite for Sam Houston. They want to run to open up the pass. Both teams overall pretty solid defenses. Western Kentucky, heavy favorites here. I do think they're going to walk away with the win, but I think it's going to be a little closer game than Vegas expected. The Hilltoppers win this one 33-26, but they walk away 1-0. And we're now going to be moving on to our Thursday, August 28 matchups. This is officially the start of week one. The very first one we're going to look at 6 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. We have the Ohio Bobcats versus Rutgers. Rutgers, obviously, Greg Schiano, difficult team, hard-nosed football team, old school smash mouth style football. He wants to play his games in the trenches. That's where he wants to win them. From the inside out, from the middle out. He wants to win the line of scrimmage, trench warfare, lineup, run the ball at you. Their defense took a little bit of a step back last season, but overall, Rutgers usually is a top 30 overall defense when they're led by Greg Schiano. They have an 81.7% chance to win this game. Ohio, an 18.3% chance. Rutgers, 14.5-point favorites. The over-under is 46.5. Rutgers, minus 578. Ohio, plus 425. As a team last year, the Bobcats, 29.3 points a game, rushing for 213.2. They want to run the ball right at you, but Rutgers always has a really good defensive line, a very talented front seven, and they were giving up 18.1. Ohio, actually a very good defense. This might be a lower scoring game. Rutgers, 28.9 points a game, very balanced, 207 passing yards, 175.3 rushing yards, giving up 25.4 points per game. Like I just said, a lot higher than the usual Rutgers defense. They're more experienced. They have more of a veteran presence on this team. They have a returning quarterback. They have the run game. Campbell, Raymond, the wide receiver weapons are there. Duff, Strong, Sheffield. Even though they're going against a good defense, they should be able to outmuscle them come the third and fourth quarter. I have Rutgers ultimately pulling away with the win here, 28-17. And our next game also on Thursday at 7 p.m. on the ACC Network. We have East Carolina visiting NC State. NC State, Dave Doran team, they need to get things back on track. They came in the last season with the second or third best odds to win the ACC. Started out the season top 25. They laid an egg out the gate. Did not have the type of season they usually have. They have CJ Bailey here. They have a really good wide receiver core. Rogers, Grimes, Anderson, but we know what NC State has usually done in past seasons. They've run the ball. They played a really good defense. They were not successful at either of those things last season. They need to get back to NC State style football. Right now, 77.8% chance to win this game. ECU, 22.2% chance. And you have NC State 11.5-point favorites, a 59.5 over-under. Vegas sees a higher scoring game. NC State, minus 431. ECU, plus 331. The Pirates last season, 32 points a game, giving up 27.3. They could score some points, throwing for 264, but they also gave up a lot of yards. NC State, 28.5. Throwing for 232, running for 145. They got to get those rush yards. If this is a team that wants to run the ball, play action, they gave up 30.2 points a game. You usually never see NC State Wolfpack, a very physical team, giving up that many points per game. Not their usual selves. Get things back on track. Either way, you should be the far more talented team here. Look for NC State to start out the season with a dominating win. Hopefully they can build up some momentum here. I have NC State winning this one 37-23. And then at 7:30 p.m. on the SEC Network, Central Arkansas FCS versus the Missouri Tigers. Missouri starting out the season with a little bit of a cupcake. That is perfectly fine. They are replacing a lot of pieces on this roster. They have to replace Cook. They have to replace Burden. Burden, massive loss here. One of the best wide receivers in the nation. Some people had him as a top 5, top 3 overall wide receiver, a legit weapon. Cook had a lot of starts under his belt. Both of those guys are gone. They are breaking in a whole new team. But one thing that Drinkwitz has showed you, he can coach up to the talent on his roster. He gets the most out of his players, 3 4-star players. He will make this team very competitive. They play cohesively as a unit. The quarterback, Prabulu, taken over as the starting quarterback. They have Norflet at the tight end. The wide receiver room, they definitely have to step up, making up for the loss of Burden. Manning, Johnson, Coleman Jr. We need to see that group collectively step up and make up for that loss. But Missouri, always a really good defense, very capable offense. Last season, 28.9 points a game, giving up 20.4. They had a top 30 overall defense. They just have to make sure to match that production. Back-to-back 10-win seasons. Central Arkansas, they averaged 31.8 points a game, giving up 27.5. But this is what it is. It's an FCS versus an SEC team. It's going to be a dominating win, but might take a little while for the new offense to get fully rolling. But still, they win this one 38-13. And obviously, being an FCS matchup, there's no spreads till that morning. And a very, very interesting matchup coming up next. We have Big Ten versus Big 12, August 28th at 9 p.m. on ESPN. You have the Nebraska Cornhuskers versus the Cincinnati Bearcats. This is a fun game here. Both of these teams rebuilding. Both of these teams would love to start out the season with a win, especially Nebraska. The schedule will be very unforgiving. It's a Big Ten conference, the best conference, one of the two best conferences in all of college football, whether it's the SEC or the Big Ten. The conferences are deep. You have to win these out-of-conference games. Nebraska, 67.7% chance to win. Cincinnati, a 32.2%. Nebraska, 6.5-point favorites, a 51.5 over-under. The Cornhuskers, minus 240. The Bearcats, plus 197. Obviously, the big question here is you have Matt Rule back, NFL-style coach, hard-nosed, disciplined coach. What steps forward do we see Dylan Raiola take? 5-star quarterback coming out of high school. A lot of praise here. Some people comparing him to Patrick Mahomes. That's obviously massive shoes to fill. If he can in any way live up just slightly to that hype, if Nebraska has great quarterback play with the defense they're going to have, with the run game, with the physicality, they definitely play Big Ten-style football. This could be an under-the-radar, very competitive top 25 team. They are definitely top 25 caliber. Dylan Raiola there for the running back position. Johnson, Nelson, Key, Hunter, Barney Jr. at the wide receivers. If they can run the ball, they can open up that play action, and Raiola can really start to grow. He showed promise last season, had a lot of turnovers, but first season starting there, fresh out of high school, there was promises, there was flashes to what he could be. Nebraska last season, 23.5 points a game. That's not going to cut it. They got to get that up to at least 28 to 30. They were giving up 19.5. This is an elite top 20 defense. If the offense can just get a little better, this is easily a very competitive team in the Big Ten. Cincinnati, 25.2 points a game, giving up 24.6. A lot of pressure here. Scott Satterfield, we have to see a more complete team. We have to see you be able to close games out. They were actually competitive last season. They were successful running the ball, running for 184, throwing for 237, but we need to see you be able to close games out in the fourth. I think Raiola is going to have a good day. Nebraska wins this one, but Cincinnati gets some fourth quarter garbage points. But the Cornhuskers win this 33-20. And now moving on to Friday, August 29th, we're going to have one of the teams who played week 0 getting to play again week 1. So we get them twice within a couple of days. You're going to have Wagner playing the Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas obviously coming off that win. They're going to be 1-0 here. We already went over the stats. They're going to be rolling. I do anticipate Jane Daniels getting things back on track this season, having a great year, pushing the ball down the field, running the ball. I just need to see him be a little more careful. Don't take as many risks. You don't have to. Kansas can always run the ball. They can always line up, bring it right at you, running for 211 last season, throwing for 209. Take what the defense gives you. When all else fails, rely on that run game. The run game will in turn open up the play action. Kansas offense continues to get better week by week, leading up to Big 12 play. I have them winning this one 40-16. And this next game is actually one of the most fun games of the entire week 0, week 1 matchup. August 29th, 8 p.m., ESPN, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets versus the Colorado Buffaloes. This game is going to be so much fun. This is going to be a high-stakes game here. Both teams just barely missing out on the top 25. Whoever wins this game, whoever starts out the season 1-0 will find themselves week 2 in the top 25 polls. Georgia Tech, 62% chance to win. Colorado, a 38% chance. But you got to call this game like it is. It is up for grabs. The offense, the most efficient offense, is easily going to win this game. Georgia Tech, 4-point favorites, a 54.5 over-under. The Yellow Jackets, minus 183. The Buffaloes, plus 152. Deion Sanders, last season, he sent Shedeur Sanders to the NFL. He sent the Heisman winner Travis Hunter to the NFL. Both of those guys are gone. You cannot lose those players and not expect any type of a step back on the team. You had the Heisman winner. You have to miss that type of player, but you're bringing in a 5-star quarterback. Julian Lewis might not be the starter here. You might be going with Caden Salter, who's a transfer portal quarterback. A lot of starting experience under his hands, and you know this team is loaded with an extremely deep wide receiver core. Miller, Brown, Draylon Miller, a lot of weapons in the wide receiver room. The offensive line took strides forward last season, should be better this season. The defense last season actually led the Big 12 in sacks, much improved over the 23, but do not underestimate Georgia Tech. Of all the teams not ranked top 25, I do think Georgia Tech is the most worthy to at least be in that discussion for the top 25, and they're going to be healthy to start out the season. They were healthy at no point last year. Brent Key getting a lot out of the players here. Jamal Haynes might be the best running back in the ACC, one of the best in the nation. And then you have Haynes King at the quarterback position. He can throw, he can run. Mobile, dual threat quarterback. When you can run like Georgia Tech runs, you keep the ball out of the opposing offense's hands and you just suck up clock. You keep that elite Colorado offense off the field. Georgia Tech, they're going to be a very, very fun team to watch this season. Last year, they averaged 28.9, giving up 25.6. Colorado, 32.9, giving up 23.1. But Colorado only ran for 65.2 yards per game. Yes, they had a great quarterback, great wide receivers. I need to see that run game step up. You cannot close games out in the fourth quarter if you cannot physically run the ball. I have this game being close, being high scoring. The Yellow Jackets ultimately win. They win 34-28, and it's a fun game. And of all of our games in week 0 and week 1, I think this game is the closest to a true 50-50 pick'em, split right down the middle matchup. Any team can win. 8 p.m. on Fox. One of the most fun games of the weekend also. We have the Auburn Tigers versus the Baylor Bears. Waco, Texas. Both teams could use this win. This is SEC versus Big 12. Auburn, very, very difficult SEC schedule. They have to win these out-of-conference games. Hugh Freeze, a lot of pressure on him. This is the season. He's been recruiting. He's been working the portal. He has an elite wide receiver room. Some are saying a top 5 overall wide receiver core. He had a top 25 defense last season. Defense isn't the question. Offense has been pretty bad in the last couple seasons, vertically pushing the ball down the field. They've not been successful. Jackson Arnold transferring over. Can they get the most out of that previous 5-star quarterback? Baylor. Dave Aranda also on the hot seat last season, but they finished with like 5 or 6 straight wins to end the season. One of the hottest teams in the country when the season ended last year. Can they pick up that momentum here, pick up where they left off? He has pressure on him, but he showed what this team was capable of. Robertson back at the quarterback position. Mobile quarterback, but he's first a passer, but he can extend plays with his legs. They had a pretty good offense last season, but Dave Aranda is a defensively focused guy. You got to get that Baylor defense back to being really good. Show them what they're capable of. Auburn last year, 27.8 points a game, giving up 21.3. Baylor, 34.4, giving up 26.7. Baylor here's the underdogs. Auburn on the road, 2.5-point favorites, a 57.5 over-under. Tigers, minus 133. The Bears, plus 112. I do think it is a very difficult game to call. This is a fun one. I'm an unbiased fan here. I don't really care who wins. I just want to watch some good football. Either one of these teams can walk away with the win, but ultimately, I'm going to go with the home team. Give me Baylor squeaking out the win here, 28-24. But honestly, guys, this one could go either way. And our next game at 9:30 p.m., one of the later ones on CBS, we have UNLV Rebels versus Sam Houston. Again, Phil Longo versus Dan Mullen. We already went over these teams. They played in week 0, so we already touched on the team stats. UNLV, 79.8% chance to win. Sam Houston, a 20.2% chance. The UNLV Rebels, 12.5-point favorites, a 58.5 over. They are minus 500 to Sam Houston, plus 375. Sam Houston has to completely rebuild this team, but this is what Phil Longo does. They already have a good defense. He just has to get that offense on track. He's an offensively focused guy. And Dan Mullen, one of the better offensive minds in modern college football. This team last season averaged 35.4, gave up 21.3. The foundations there, he brought in a buttload of transfers. They're going to score points. I look for this to be one of the highest scoring teams in the nation, but it might take a couple weeks to get fully gelled with this new scheme. Either way, they win this game handedly. They walk away 45-20 win. And another fun one, another Big Ten game on ESPNU. You have Northwestern versus Tulane. Tulane here, 65.5% chance to win. Northwestern, a 34.5. Tulane been one of those underappreciated teams probably the last 3 to 4 seasons throughout all of college football. They've been winning 10 games. They've been having great seasons, but they have been getting wrecked and completely robbed through the transfer portal. Any quarterback they have, stolen. Running back, stolen. Wide receiver, stolen. They get depleted. Their roster has so much turnover, and still they continue to find ways to win games. They're going up against a Big Ten team here. Northwestern, usually a solid defense. The offense has had issues for basically the last decade. David Braun, he's going to have Preston Stone transferring over as your starting quarterback. A lot of reps under his belt here, but hasn't been in the scheme that long. Speaking of not being in the scheme that long, Rhett Slav transferring over to start for Tulane. This guy's only been on this team for like 3 hours. Completely new playbook, but he showed what he was capable of last season. Mobile quarterback, he can throw, he's efficient, he plays ball security. Very good quarterback to have because Tulane, not a bad team by any means. You have to respect them. Pretty good offense last season, 35.1 points a game, giving up 20.6. Northwestern only scoring 17.8 points a game. Yes, that was in the Big Ten here, but that is not going to cut it. Tulane 6.5-point favorites against a Big Ten team. 46.5 over-under. They're minus 216. Northwestern plus 170. I cannot respect the offense Northwestern's going to put on the field. I have Tulane winning this one 30-20. And then moving on to a true college football day, Saturday, August 30th. The one kicking everything off at 12 p.m. FAU versus the Maryland Terrapins. Obviously, Mike Locksley usually has a very good offense on his teams. Did not have a good offense last season, did not have a good defense. They were really struggling to score points and stop teams from scoring. They have an 81.5% chance to win this one. FAU, an 18.5% chance. FAU, last season, overall, probably a better offense than Maryland, but their defense was atrocious. Both of these teams were giving up scores in bunches. Maryland's 14.5-point favorites, 59.5 over-under. They're minus 571. FAU's plus 416. FAU, with this team, with this roster, they would love to upset a Big Ten team. They have Veltkamp taking over at the quarterback position, but look for Kitley. He needs to get a lot out of this team. Maryland, Locksley on the hot seat here, but it's hard to win at Maryland. He's an offensively minded guy. You at least need to have a good offense. Last season, 23.7 points a game. They have to get that number up. It's not optional, and they were giving up 30.4. If you are going to give up 30.4 points a game, you need to at least score a buttload of games. Malik Washington at the quarterback position, at the running back position, Ray Williams, the wide receiver core really have to step up. They have to be prepared for potential shootouts every single game. But I think Maryland, being a Big Ten team, there should be a talent disparity here. They win this one 37-24. And then at 12:45 on the SEC Network, you have the Toledo Rockets versus the Kentucky Wildcats. Some people are actually listing this game as a potential dark horse candidate for the upset. Kentucky better not lose this game. The schedule only gets harder from this point out. They are in the SEC, and it is a very difficult SEC schedule. They must win these games. If they want to at least win 3 or 4 games, 3 to 6 games on the season, you better beat Toledo, or it's going to be a very, very rough season for Mark Stoops. Kentucky comes into this game 8.5-point favorites, 48.5 over-under. They're minus 298. Toledo plus 239. Obviously, Toledo last season, 28.3 points a game, giving up 23.2. Not a bad offense, a pass-focused team. Kentucky, they have not had a good offense in decades. It's been a long time. They're never efficient moving the ball. They have a lot of very close first half games, but by the second half, they're gassed. That's when they don't have the depth to compete with the better SEC teams. Last year, 20.6 points a game, giving up 22.1. They always have a good physical defense. Mark Stoops can coach defense. These teams are always disciplined, but there's a massive talent gap here when it comes to the offense. That's what's always going to hold this team back. Calzada back at the quarterback position. They have to establish the run, open up the play action. I think Kentucky will do enough to get the win here, but it might be close first half. Kentucky wins 34-18. And at 6 p.m. on Fox Sports 1, we have the University of Albany FCS versus the Iowa Hawkeyes. Kirk Ferentz, one of the longest tenured coaches in college football, great defensive-minded coach. This team is always going to have a top 10, top 5 overall defense, top 10, top 5 overall special teams. They run the ball good. They play some play action. Their offense is usually always completely atrocious. It is an embarrassment. There's been seasons where they were ranked 131st out of 134 teams. That's how bad it's been. If they just had a good offense, this is a playoff caliber team. But you know they're going to bring the defense. They're going to be physical. They're going to get after. They are going to suffocate teams. They'll have a couple shutouts on the season. Last year, they averaged 27.7, gave up 17.8. That's with an offense that doesn't move the ball. A lot of pressure on that defense, but they can live up to it. They have Gronowski transferring over from the Dakotas at the quarterback position. He's a mobile quarterback. Maybe he can finally take this offense to the next level. If we can see Iowa move the ball, this is going to be fun to watch. Watching them play football, I hate to say it, it's usually like watching paint dry. But if they can actually have a capable offense, guys, this would be a very fun team to watch with Kirk Ferentz's defense. I have Iowa winning this one in typical Iowa fashion. They walk away with the win 38-3. And then at 7:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network, we have Missouri State versus the USC Trojans. Lincoln Riley, I say it every time I talk about USC. In my personal opinion, the best offensive mind in college football. USC, 97.6% chance to win. Missouri State, a 2.4% chance. The Trojans, 35-point favorites, 59.5 over-under. They are what? Minus 33,333. Crazy number. Missouri State plus 4,000. Missouri State last season, 34.8 points a game, giving up 30.2. USC, 30.2 points a game, giving up 24.1. The progress that this USC Trojans defense took year one under D'Anton Lynn. Take massive strides forward from the 23 season. They'll be even better this season. Better defensive line, better depth. The number one recruiting class coming in next season lets you know to keep that class intact, you have to have a great year. USC, Mayava taking over as the full-time starter. Game one, mobile quarterback. He does have a lot of turnovers. He forces a lot of things, but he can work wonders in this Lincoln Riley offense. The running game, Jordan, Sanders, they're deep there. Great depth. Jordan, Lane, Lemon, a top 5 overall wide receiver core in the nation. You are giving Lincoln Riley great wide receivers, quarterback who has a dual threat quarterback. You know they're going to score some points. Trojans win game one here, 52-10. Now, had Retzlaff not transferred out last minute, had he not been punished and suspended, BYU would have easily been a top 25 team. They won over 10 games last season, top 25 team to end it, bringing back a lot of starters. It's a shame. If I were a BYU fan, I'd be really pissed off because you had the chance to have a really good season this coming year, potentially win the Big 12. At 8 p.m. on ESPN+, we're going to have Portland versus BYU. BYU, this is obviously a Power 4 versus an FCS, so there's no spread right now, but last year, BYU 31.2 points a game, giving up 19.6, throwing for 231, running for 161. What a good team they were, but their starting quarterback, Retzlaff, having a very efficient season last year. He's now gone last minute, so there's Hillstead, Bachmeier, the quarterback room as a whole. You might see both guys play at some points. They have to step up. The running game definitely has to make up for the loss of Retzlaff. You know they're going to have a good defense. This is a good, easy game. Get some reps in. Get the new starters oiled up. I have BYU cruising to the win here, 42-10. And one of our later games at 11 p.m. on Fox, you have the Utah Utes, Kyle Whittingham, one of the longest tenured, most underappreciated coaches in the entire country. This guy's a top 10 overall coach. The amount of production he gets out of his roster is elite. You know they're going to have a top 10 defense. They're going to have good special teams. The offense has kind of sputtered out the last couple of seasons, but they're finally free of Cam Rising. He was like a storm cloud hanging over this team, played one game, got hurt, completely wrecked the whole season. He's now gone. They can move on. They can play defense, and they can run the ball, and they can just get a quarterback who shows up every day and doesn't get hurt. They'll be playing the UCLA Bruins, who, even with all the movement they had last season, actually had a pretty solid overall year. Right now, the Bruins, 32.9% chance to win. The Utes, a 67.1. Utah, 6-point favorites, 50.5 over-under. The Utes, minus 234. UCLA, plus 191. Obviously, the big unknown here with UCLA, Nico Imaliava transferring over last minute, taking over. 5-star quarterback. To me, did not show much last season, but he's a 5-star quarterback. You know the ability, the promise is there. They want to get that run game going. They have to continue to improve the defense. Last season, they only averaged 18.4 points a game. That's not going to cut it. This team is more than capable of getting to a bowl, maybe winning 7 to 8 games maximum. But if Nico shows his true potential, this can be an under-the-radar Big Ten team. Utah last year, 23.6 points a game, giving up 20.7 points a game, which is not bad when your offense cannot buy a first down. They're on the field the whole game, and the defense continued to hold up, continue to have a great season. And at the quarterback position, to help Kyle Whittingham, Dampier's taken over as the full-time starter with the run game, a very deep running back room. Wayshawn Parker, Rutgers, they should do just enough. This is one of those under-the-radar teams to potentially compete and win the Big 12. Always keep your eye on Kyle Whittingham. When they come in with a lot of promise, they let you down. When no one's looking at them, this is always a double-digit win team. I have the Utes getting the win here. Physical win, 24-17. And our second to last game we're looking at is going to be Mountain West versus the Big Ten. You're going to have the Colorado State Rams versus the Washington Huskies. The Huskies are representing the Big Ten, 89.8% chance to win. Colorado State, which can be a competitive team, a 10.2% chance to win. The Huskies, 19.5-point favorites. 52.5 over-under. Washington is minus 1,493, and Colorado State plus 860. Some crazy spreads here, some crazy numbers, because obviously it's week 0 and 1, so some teams are playing some cupcakes. Washington last season, 23.4 points a game, giving up 23.8. Very good defense, very good secondary, only giving up 166.5 points a game. Really good pass rush here, getting pressure on them, disrupting passes down the field. Secondary holding up. Jed Fish, very talented coach, getting a lot out of the team. Had to completely flip the roster last season. Do we see the fruits of that labor here? Do we see this team take it to the next level? New quarterback coming in, Demon Williams Jr. They're going to have Boston, Evans, Green Jr. A lot of wide receivers here working the portal. recruiting. This is a team that made the national championship just a couple seasons ago. The ability's there, the talent's there. They just had to flip the roster. Might take a couple more seasons because obviously the Big Ten is very deep and it is no joke. Colorado State, Jay Norvell. Obviously the big news was when they played Colorado 2 years ago and they had all those scuffles that whole game. But this team, an actually pretty competitive team. Fowler, Nicolosi at the quarterback position. Pretty talented wide receiver core last season, averaging 24.4 points a game, giving up 25.8. Washington has to win these games. The Big Ten schedule is going to be no joke. I think they're going to win it. They're always going to have a good defense. They win this one 26-18. Lower scoring game because they are breaking in those new position players. Might take a couple games to get fully going. And we honestly might have saved the best for last year. September 1st at 8 p.m. on ESPN, the TCU Horned Frogs versus the UNC Tar Heels. Right now, TCU, 58.6% chance to win. UNC, a 41.4%. But the big news here is Bill Belichick, the GOAT himself from the NFL, coming over to college football. This guy's 98 years old, coaching his first college football game. I don't understand the hire personally, but it is what it is. There's no doubt that he's the GOAT from the NFL. I think this team will be good, but will they be good enough on offense to outscore TCU? Because that's what it is. TCU, every single game's a shootout. You have to come prepared to put up 35 to 40 points per game. Right now, TCU, 3.5-point favorites, 58.5 over-under. They're minus 157. UNC plus 132. UNC, great city, great town, great college here. But do they have enough new pieces to be able to compete with a veteran TCU team? You have Gio Lopez coming over at the quarterback position. Chip, Pacer, Johnson at wide receiver, Johnson at tight end, Goss, Hall. There's weapons at running back position. Belichick has been working the portal first season in the college football ranks. But obviously, Sonny Dykes, he's nobody's doing one of the better offensive play callers in college football. He's been to the national championship before. Yes, they got steamrolled, they got curb stomped, but he made it there. He's beaten big teams. He comes from that up-tempo air raid. They're going to be spreading the ball out. Josh Hoover, one of the best returning quarterbacks in all of college football. This guy is efficient with the ball. Deep wide receiver room, McAllister, Dyer, Manjack. There's going to be weapons there. They don't run the ball that much, but definitely a top 5 passing team in college football, throwing for 312.9 last season, running for 113.9. They averaged 33.5. They gave up 24.6, which is actually pretty good for a Horned Frogs defense. UNC, they averaged 30.9 last season, gave up 28.1. Belichick had to flip this roster, brought in a buttload of transfer portal players. But I think Sonny Dykes, having coached in college with the experienced veteran guys he has in the same scheme, same system, that's a massive advantage. TCU wins this. It's close the whole game. TCU pulls away fourth quarter. They win 37-27. Guys, that is all of our non-ranked top 25 games, the games that stood out to me the most. We still want to touch on them because just because you're not ranked doesn't mean you're not going to finish this season ranked. A lot of these teams will be top 25 teams after the first couple weeks. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments, drop them below. Do you agree? Disagree? What are your thoughts on these games? What are your predictions for week 0, week 1? Make sure to let me know. I will respond to every comment. If you want to sign up for one of our member teams, make sure to check out the pinned comment down below. Click on that link. You can sign up there. And of course, as always, thank you for watching.